In a world where survival is paramount and the wasteland throws its worst at you, only the strong can thrive. Introducing Emu Energy Drinks, with an apocalyptic powerhouse packed into every can, keeping you sharp, focused, and ready to tackle the wasteland with ease. An epic pick-me-up of haphazard chemicals, strong aftertaste, strange side effects, and unmatched rejuvenation. Emu Energy Drinks. Stay alert, stay alive.
It's the Bunker.
Basil's Bunker End Time Supply subscription service. Plan starting at just $17.76 a month. No hidden fees. Cancel anytime. 33-day money-back guarantee. Call now for a chance to win an attachable six-finger. Perfect for plausible deniability and AI generations and for your secret Nephilim handshakes. Call now. 1-877-740-3226. Basil's Bunker is solely operated by the Razzle Dazzle Ranch. CCR, CCNT, and the Shimura Estate are not responsible for any claims or guarantees. Call now.
Welcome to Basil's Bunker, where we have many amenities in the advent of coming societal collapse. Bohemian Grove generators powered by Chinese lithium cobalt batteries. Anti-air defense systems rivaling the IDF Iron Dome. Endless end times food ration buckets. And recreational activities like emu wrangling or Monty pet training.
Howdy doody, Bunkeroos. We're doing it. We're here. Thanks for being here for Basil's Bunker. Another Friday, another bunker, another disaster survived. That's kind of fun. It's like the week, the Monday through Thursday is the apocalypse. And then Friday is when we get in the bunker. Or maybe we come out of the bunker. I don't know, man. We're figuring it out all together here. Big shout out to the Racing Heart on Rumble, Joydar, Krillin on YouTube, DW3. Stefan's here again. Bunkeroos, he says. And Jessica, hey Bunkeroo, how you doing? Okay, here we go. We're doing it, folks. This is very fun. For those who get the Canary Cry newsletter, you can take a look at that newsletter. It only makes it to 20% of inboxes every time we send it out. But you can look for it in your spam folder, look for it in your updates folder, look for it in, the places where your email people put it when they don't want you to know that the thing you signed up for is available to you. Isn't that fun? We pay money. We pay money every month to only have 20% of our emails make it out to the people. So welcome to the life of a gray-listed podcaster. Marita in the chat, thank you. Loving this Bunkeroo chat time. It's your first time being here live. Okay. Good. Jason, Homesteaders, let's go. Yes, here's the thing. I am going to absolutely love following Sir Ike's lead into the Missouri community of Bunkeroos out there. I guess they're not Bunkeroos yet, but they're pre-Bunkeroos. The homesteading community, huge out there, which is why I can't stop looking at Missouri real estate. Well, folks, today is kind of fun. Oh, I totally forgot to mention what I was going to mention. In the newsletter, if you get that newsletter, if you don't get it, go to canarycry.party, sign up for the newsletter. The email that I sent out has a button, and you can click on that button, and you will get put into the waiting room of this show. Yes, we're trying to call in things a little different this time. You can just get into the waiting room, sit there, and wait until it's time for your call-in. There's a little note in there that says call-ins are going to be first come, first serve, and of course I reserve the right to make any decision about call-ins at my discretion. But I'll tell you what, folks, it's working, because there's at least one person sitting in the waiting room right now. I didn't even arrange it beforehand. They just were so smart and talented and tech savvy, they pressed the button and entered the thing. Oh, there he is, Sir Darren out of the Hungry Panda. Thank you for the pre-Basil's Bunker ads that are going to play there. And I'm kind of just vamping now, so I think we're just going to have to get right into the story. Thank you for everybody who has been sending everything, your emails, your text messages to the text message alert system. Oh, by the way, if you didn't get a text message telling you the show is going live today, you should text the word canary to 877-740-3226. That's canary to 877-740-3226. And that will get you on the list. We don't take your name or any data or anything like that. It's a basically unmonetizable list, but you just get a little notice before we go live. All right, producer JC in Rumble is saying I'm coming through a little quiet, so let me know if that changes, folks. All right, let's see here. You know what? I'm just going to start out with a little bit of bunker real estate. We got to get some jingles on this show, man. We got to get a bunker real estate jingle. So I think it was Gabby, producer Gabby. Forgive me if it wasn't Gabby and it was somebody else who dropped into the chat the phrase Tower of Basil, which is very fun, very funny. It's definitely something, but we have not decided what that something is yet. Is it the name of the Bible study portion of the show? Is it the name of the real estate portion? I think it's kind of a funny name for the real estate portion and doesn't get all mixed up in the weird connotations, for the Bible study portion. Of course, there's connotations to the reference to the Tower of Babel there, but we're figuring it out together. That's why the producers are here. That's why everybody's here. Oh my gosh. Gorsh. I made a huge mistake, folks. And this is it. This is why the show happens this way. This is what happens when a show that usually requires multiple people to set up is suddenly done by a single lower than average podcaster. And that is, I completely forgot to set up the audio recording. Completely forgot to set up the audio recording portion of this, and I have betrayed the RSS podcast listeners too many times. Too many times has Basil's Bunker supplemental material not made it onto the RSS feed. So I got to rectify this really quick, and we might even do a take two. Yeah, the live people, you get to experience what it's like on the back end when you totally mess up and forget to record the podcast of which, by the way, just in case somebody doesn't know this, 99.9% of listeners of all of our material listen to the podcast version. The video live version is very fun. We have a nice community on our Rumble and YouTube and Twitch and other places where people listen to the show. But the podcast version is where they're not more important. There's more of them. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do this together. I'm going to fake another intro to the show, and it's going to be so smooth. It's going to be so good. It's going to be the podcast listeners are not even going to notice that we did this over again. Okay, so let me set this up. I'm going to get the jingle ready. So that'll be on the thing. That's what we're going to do. And this will just be our little secret, folks. It's just our little secret. Okay, I'm pressing record. And now I'm going to play the jingle. And then we'll start for real from the beginning this time. Okay, everybody, shh. Here we go.
Welcome to Basil's Bunker, where we have many amenities in the advent of coming societal collapse. Bohemian Grove generators powered by Chinese lithium cobalt batteries. Anti-air defense systems rivaling the IDF Iron Dome. endless end times food ration buckets, and recreational activities like emu wrangling or Monty pet training.
Well, howdy doody, Bunkeroos. It's me, your best buddy Basil. I probably need to start putting razzle dazzle in there somewhere. You know, it's just brand continuity. You are here, you are listening to episode 3 of Basil's Bunker, which it still might be considered like a 0-day type of situation. The show is evolving. The producers are getting involved. I don't know. I'm building the email template. The recordings sometimes don't start at the beginning of the stream. Sometimes, maybe, and then you have to restart the show live, and everybody is not going to mention to any of the podcast listeners that we had to redo it, because I'm not even saying that happened. But if that does ever happen, the live stream viewers, if they know what's good for them, isn't going to tell the podcast listeners. I apologize for the lateness, dear podcast listeners, audio only podcast form. This show has taken a few days every time to get onto the RSS feed. That is something we are working to rectify. That is something that we appreciate, you podcast listeners, and we want you to be up to date. We can't have you behind on the Basil's Bunker thing. So this is going to be great. We're going to have call-ins. We already have people in the call-in waiting room. If you got the newsletter, go in there. There's a button. Follow those instructions. It'll put you in the waiting room. You'll just be sitting here listening, watching the show, and then I can put you on the show. That'll be fun. We're trying out the format, trying out our technical capabilities here. And just so everybody knows what to expect, of course, we're going to be talking some bunker prepper homesteading real estate. That must be done. Thinking about calling that segment the Tower of Basil. Just seems like kind of a funny real estate name for this segment. I'm going to be telling some stories from my own off-grid prepping situation. Let you know, maybe hopefully encourage you by telling a funny story of disaster. I may have told the story already, but I don't know. You know, you'd really have to be deep in the Canary Cry News Talk lore. Of course, we're going to be keeping an eye out for bunker culture. We're going to be writing the Bunker Culture Manifesto. So, you know, when things happen, we can all know how to act. Isn't that important? Once the world ends, it's going to be good to sort of have a I don't know, maybe some stone tablets with instructions on how to treat each other after things go south. Let's see here. Oh, and then we'll be talking bunker versus prepping versus off-grid homesteading from a Christian perspective. That'll be a very interesting conversation. So here we go. Stick around. With that, let's see here. Where should we start? Let's start with the Tower of Basil. Oh, you know, producers out there. I know you're here. I know you're waiting. I know producers of every kind, value for value, your time, your talent, or your treasure. You're watching this, you're listening to this, you're having fun. It's a good way to spend a little bit of time, but you're not quite convinced that this is a lasting enterprise. You know, your best buddy Basil has had multiple side projects, all of them wonderful, all of them you love, but you just never know what's going to last and what's not going to last. Here's a big difference, and this is something I have had to come to terms with myself. For so long, and still, even now, having a regular, like a co-host, honestly, having a co-host feels safer to me. Somebody to talk to, somebody to laugh at my jokes, somebody to bounce things off of. So I'm not responsible for filling every single silence that can happen in an hour or two in a show. And what happens, and anybody who's co-hosted a show with me, is, you know, there's a certain level of reliance that comes with that. But there also comes a certain level of, I don't know, some conflict of accountability, which really, the idea of having an accountability partner, a podcast accountability buddy to make sure that we can get the work done, I've leaned on that. It's a real crutch, and I don't mean with Canary Cry News Talk. Gons and I are together forever. But these side projects have sort of relied on some co-hosts, and the co-hosts are very important. Either co-hosts or guests, relying on guests. Which probably still might be the best way for all this to work out. We are figuring it out together, producers. But I consider you, dear producers, to be my co-host in this situation. Where was I going with this? Why was I saying all of this? I don't know. Trying to fill the time. That must have been why I was bringing it up. Why was I bringing that up? Well, there you go, folks. That's the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching live. Callers, sorry. You'll have to get in next time. We got another person in the call-in thing. Here's the thing. Producers of all kinds. Time, talent, treasure. Time to get on the sketch pad. Time to get on the guitar, time to get on your cool futuristic cyber DJ EDM machine. Maybe it's just like a motorcycle that you ride, and depending on how you ride it in sort of the virtual realm, it makes different noises as you speed up, slow down, make turns, crash, something like that. That's how you make your absolutely filthy EDM that will get turned into jingles for the show, theme songs for this show, and of course, art in all of its forms. For now, if you're an artist producer, you can go ahead and upload those to canarycry.art. We'll use the same one, canarycry.art for now, before things start taking shape. So here we go. We're going to test the phrase Tower of Basil. We're going to test it with Bible sections. We're going to test it with real estate, and we'll see what happens. Here you go. Here's the real estate everybody's been waiting for. Hi, welcome to the property. Yes, it's a great deal. The owners have taken really good care of it, and we can't wait to get you in this Tower of Basil. It's not bad. It could be worse. Thank you. Here we go. Let me start out. Okay, we've been talking about billionaire bunkers. It's a whole thing. In fact, the mainstream media has spent a lot of time and a lot of energy talking about billionaire bunkers. And almost any talk of bunkers or prepping has been in the context of billionaires. So real quick, just to open this up, I want to bring you this story from Yahoo Finance from an outlet called Go Banking Rates. I don't trust this. Okay, Go Banking Rates. Let's just assume this is written by an AI. The headline is Billionaires Building Bunkers. Whoa, build back better. Billionaires building bunkers. Basil's bunkers basics. How much would it cost to invest in doomsday like the rich? Whoa. And let's reference back to a point made in a previous show, is the idea of being prepared in some way, specifically kind of in the bunker realm, but the very idea of prepping is almost exclusively being presented as a luxury of the rich. Unbelievable, right? Which to me, because of the natural sort of hatred for billionaires, that is sort of the instinctual reaction from any, I don't know, thinking human being with a heart and a mind and common sense. There's a little bit of a displeasure with billionaires, not because they're rich, but because of what they do and who they are and what they say and what they stand for. Superficial stuff like that. And so placing the very idea of bunkers and prepping in the context of those whom we maybe wish weren't so, I feel like has a pretty powerful propagandistic social engineering quality to it to make it seem out of reach for the rest of us. And if you've watched this show, you heard me before, The number one thing that I'm trying to hammer into everybody's head is that it is not as unattainable as the mainstream media or culture as a whole would like you to believe. So here we go. Just a quick touch on billionaires building bunkers. How much would it cost to invest in a doomsday like the rich? With global tensions on the rise from escalating armed conflicts to ongoing political unrest, a growing number of billionaires are turning to doomsday bunkers as a form of insurance against catastrophic events. These shelters are more than just underground hideaways. They represent a shift towards extreme security and only accessible to the world's wealthiest individuals who aim to protect themselves from potential threats, including nuclear bombing, climate change events, power grid failure, and cyber attacks. Cyber attacks, you say? Get in the bunker! The Chinese are hacking us. Climate change events. That's something to note. Climate change events is on the list. Then it goes through what's driving the bunker boom. Surprise, surprise. Talking about COVID-19 and war and politics, stuff like that. Then it goes into a little section called Beyond Basic Security, where they're saying these are not basic things. These modern shelters are equipped with advanced security systems and high-end amenities, often blurring the lines between safety and luxury. For example, Al Corby, founder of SAFE, Strategically Armored and Fortified Environments, that's a cool one, describes a project that includes an island fortress designed with a 30-foot deep lake that can transform into a fiery moat. Folks, forget burying your shipping container. Forget digging a root cellar in your backyard. This guy, Al Corby, which almost by necessity, I need to make a note of his name. I recommend any bunker note takers out there, write down Al Corby, Alcorbi. I'm going to put him in bunker culture because we're going to need to talk about him. CEO of SAFE, Strategically Armored and Fortified Environments, talking about an island bunker with a 30-foot lake that can become a fiery moat, just in case the Anglo-Saxons or the Visigoths are at your door. You need. It sounds like hell, honestly. Fiery moat, lake of fire. Hello. See, devil's hiding in all these little details. Other features include water cannons capable of repelling aerial attacks. It's just a hose. If you got drones coming, just spray them with a hose. And tunnels equipped with flamethrowers and gassing systems. Flamethrowers and gassing systems. I feel like as a species, we should take a stand against billionaires building underground things with gassing systems. Just throwing it out there. While these features might we need to talk about, okay, this is good. We need to talk about booby traps. The method, the ethics, the morals of booby traps. We must decide this before it is too late. I'm just writing it down. It's probably for a future episode. While these features might sound like they belonged in a blockbuster action movie, they represent the level of security and creativity in a modern bunker construction. But according to Corby, quote, the real threat is the power grid, he explains. A lot of these guys are buying up King Air or older planes that don't have the electronic avionics and keeping one or two older cars built before 1986 in their collection so they still function in an EMP. So this is what I love. We're talking actual prepping. They've moved into prepping territory because bunkers are one thing, but buying a plane from like 1945 that doesn't have any electronics, that is not related to the power grid. That is not power grid related Al Corby. Al Corby, CEO of Strategically Armored and Fortified Environments, is telling a little white lie, misleading the public. Okay? He's talking the real threat is the power grid. So you need to get a plane that doesn't have electronics, or you need to get a car that doesn't rely on electronics. Bro, you're talking about sun flares. You're talking about EMP devices. You're talking about nuclear war. Not just taking out the grid, but taking out all electronics. In this day and age with sun flares coming at us every day, I don't know if you guys are on the, I don't know if you're on the tip or not, but of course, sun flares. What is that guy, Space Weatherman? Every day, every single day, he puts out a space weather report where he has footage of the sun exploding and how it's coming straight for us. I recommend it. It's a good follow. But this could happen at any moment. It's not the power grid, Al Corby. It's our sun exploding to destroy us. So put that on your list, everybody. Go ahead and put an old plane without electronics. It's like a plane with pedals. Moving on. How much does doomsday preparation cost? Here we go. According to Corby, site preparation alone costs millions of dollars, often a fraction of the overall project cost. Every site varies in cost depending on its unique attributes. Arizona-based Creative Home Engineering, specializing in secret passages. The whole company is just specializing in secret passages. Charges $50,000 per door. Steve Humble. That's not his real name. That's not a real name. Steve Humble, president of Creative Home Engineering. Creative. Oh my gosh, these people are getting me, man. Recently reported they helped a client create 9 doors in their bunker, in addition to a shooting range and a fireplace, like the one that rotates in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. You know, there's talk about $50,000 doors. Seems to just have been sort of a humble brag from Steve Humble to just kind of mention a few other amenities that he's worked on, like shooting ranges underground and fireplaces like the ones from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. I don't know what he's talking about with can somebody in the chat look up fireplace from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade and post the link in the chat so I can pull that up. I could do it now, but I don't have a co-host to cover me. So if producers get to producing, we're looking for the fireplace, like the one that rotates in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Lastly, it goes, the future of doomsday bunkers. Here's the future, folks. Pay attention. As global uncertainty persists, the demand for doomsday bunkers continues. While these shelters provide a sense of security, they also raise questions about economic inequality and the broader implications of a world where the ultra-wealthy have access to extreme safety measures. Nonetheless, for billionaires seeking to protect themselves and for their families, doomsday bunkers represent the ultimate safeguard against unpredictable future. Inequality, folks. And there you go. I mean, it's such a beautiful example of how the mainstream media socially engineers the minds of common people, preparing, getting bunkers. You don't want to be like those ding-dang billionaires that are ruining the world and peddling old planes through the sky. You don't want to be like those cretins. No, that's inequality. That's racist somehow, probably. They've created these triggers. These triggers already exist. We've seen the triggers. We know the triggers. We've been tracking the triggers. The triggers exist inside each and every one of us. Some stronger than others. Some people got it worse than others. I'll tell you that. But these little triggers to control our behavior, like calling something as simple as preparing for the future, like the Bible tells us to, making that some sort of social justice issue, of course. So that's a fun example of how these things are being dealt with. Now, remember last episode, I brought you the real estate listing for some cost-effective bunkers for sale in South Dakota. In fact, I think I pulled it up here. Let me put it on the screen just so you can see what I'm talking about. Here it is. This is from Realtor.com. Prepper Paradise. Bumper crop of bunkers for sale in South Dakota survival community. You can get it for 50 grand, 65 grand. Okay? Totally affordable. So, I mean, it's a big cement room. It's like a warehouse. But if you're trying to get started, that's an affordable way to do it. They have 500 of these things. Now, that was from Realtor.com. And I wanted to pull up this sort of alternative coverage. This is from New York Post. Doomsday Company seeks, quote, average buyers for its 575 bunkers, each for $55,000 each. And, believe it or not, it's the same one. In South Dakota's Black Hills mountain range, an end-times-focused real estate agency of sorts called Vivos is looking to offload hundreds of catastrophe-ready apartments at $55,000 a pop. But folks, as I scroll through these various photos, it looks a lot different from the actual listing. And you're going to say, well, why, yes, of course. Why, yes, of course it does. They're not going to... I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't put these pictures in the actual Realtor.com, but it says here, it doesn't say anything, but for those who are just listening, last time we looked at these, it was just a big concrete nothing room. And I was trying to be optimistic about it, okay? Trying to be encouraging to people who want to do this, especially you millennials. I know you crave the peace of underground or at least off-grid. In here, they have them really tricked out with mood lighting, mahogany panels on the walls, leather couches, banquet-style dining tables, eco-friendly veneer wood paneling. There's a reference for like one meme head out there. See, I'm plugged in. And they got it all decorated and tricked out. It actually looks kind of cool. Let me see here. So this, where was it? Oh, just so you know, a variety of layouts are available, the smallest of which offer 4 twin rooms, a double bedroom, and 1 bathroom. The largest of features 8 single bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. An 8-bedroom, that's pretty good. Interest, says Dante, is through the roof, and Vivos is currently working on constructing a bunker community in Germany. We got to get this Vivos guy. No, what's his name? Dante. All right, everybody, put this on the list, producers. Time to do some producing. Let's go back, find this guy's name. Certainly, I mean, he's getting a lot of coverage. He'd come on the show. He'd talk about the show. Not to talk about the show. He'd be on the show. We're going to send this guy an invite. We're going to need to maybe get a few episodes in. But let's find this guy's name. People who are taking notes, write down this name that I'm finding right now. Dante Vicino. DanteVicino. All right. Dante, come on the show, buddy. If anybody out there knows Dante, please hook us up. So I've always made the point that going off grid, there's a difference between going off grid and regular prepping and actual bunkers. Bunkers being maybe the most intense version of all of this. There's a way to do it affordably. I think it is a little strange that the affordable average person's bunker that's for sale is in a compound with 500 other people. I do have questions about how effective that would be. If there's a homeowners association, I don't know if I would want my bunker to have an HOA or rules about, how many apocalyptic Mad Max vehicles I can park out on front of my lawn. These are just questions. I wanted to bring you guys this fun one. This is good. Survivalrealty.com. Remember them? Survivalrealty.com. the worm room, we looked at several caves. Okay, caves, they're an okay option. Off-grid caves, worm room, still working on that one. This was a fun one. Atlas E Missile Base in Sprague, Washington. 567th Missile Wing, Site 4. The missile silos have been a big conversation, mostly in the Billionaire bunker convo, but here we go. We got some nice aerial pictures. We got a nice sunset of the missile base. Looks like you get several outbuildings. You have an underground entrance into the missile silo. The missile silo is as advertised. A couple. Look at that. Oh, this is like an underground garage thing. That's pretty cool. There you go. Love to see it. Corrugated steel tubes underground. That's how you know that you're going to get in some sort of scary chase or, stormtrooper type laser battle. Let's see here. Ooh, it's still got the logo from the missile base on it. This is not a bad deal. Now, this one is going to run you. It's going to, it's 24.5 acres, 2,750 square feet. Okay. 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, built in 1960. This beautiful piece is only going to run you $1.45 million, which, if you think about it, is a pretty good deal. Unearth the ultimate opportunity. Your very own Atlas E missile silo. Discover a once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a piece of the Cold War history. Welcome to a world where the past meets the future. Your 12,946 square foot underground former Atlas E missile silo. The property also has an 820 square foot living area connected to a 3,794 square foot metal garage workshop. Above ground and a 1,906 square foot living area below, complete with an elevator. It is located on a private 24.5 acres nestled mostly beneath the earth. Nestled mostly beneath the earth. This unique property is a blank canvas of endless possibilities, waiting for you to make it your own. Very good. I love how they're selling the history. They're selling the history along with it, which is good. It's good to have sort of a story to go with your bunker, because after the apocalypse, things can get kind of boring. All we're going to have is stories, humans telling stories to one another around a campfire. And you can certainly be the most interesting person at the post-apocalyptic Mad Max feast, telling the story about your missile silo. Marita has a good question. Is there a way to grow a garden inside those bunkers? I need a greenhouse or skylights. Yes, we could figure that out for you. Thank you, Gabby, making the note for Dante Vicino. All right, that's just a fun one. Just letting you guys know what's out there. Let's go a little bit more affordable. Now, here's the thing. Sir Ike is all hooked in with the Missouri homesteading community. I will definitely be reaching out, trying to converse with some members of this community. They seem like my kind of people. Missouri seems like my kind of place. They got all sorts of, it has its ups and downs for sure. But hopefully I can get hooked in over there. So I'm going to look at, just brought up, I went to landsearch.com and we're searching Missouri off-grid land for sale. And this is what I'm talking about, can get a little bit more reasonable for people. All right. I'm going to just pick the ones that have structures. I mean, here's 60 acres for $239, 40 acres for $249. Man, Missouri is green. Look at that. 20 acres for $499. Oh, but this has a house on it. Okay. So, these are average costs. These are nationally average costs for homes. Now, some of those don't have homes on it, so that's why I'm going to go down here. Look at this. Morgan County, 13.6 acres and a manufactured home, $199. $199,000. It's totally doable. But like I said, there's a matter of mindset to get into this thing. And that's really what hangs people up. And I got a great email from a new listener. I'm going to keep their names private because I forgot to ask if I could use their names. But this came in here. Hey guys, new listener here, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you. My new neighbor actually introduced your podcast to me somewhat recently. New neighbor, new listener. Now this is to Gonz and I for Canary Cry News Talk, but you'll see while we're here. I've really been enjoying the shows, and so has my wife. Typing this, I have noticed a huge improvement in my mood and spirit, that there are actually folks out there who are like-minded, actively doing something about the insane times we're in. Long story short, oh, I scrolled too far. Long story short, my wife and I moved our 3 kids from Western Washington in the fall of 2020 to 17 acres of off-grid property in North Idaho. Hello, North Idaho. We got a lot of Canarians in North Idaho. North Idaho, I think, still holds the record for biggest meetup. Canary Cry meetup, that is. We have finally advanced our setup to include a completely solar well with a 500-gallon cistern hooked up to a tankless pressure pump system that is all solar and battery. Congratulations, my friend. That's a good setup. We have chickens, planted many fruit trees, are improving our garden, and have a small cottage/tiny home. We are on the verge of building a pole barn that will propel us into the next level of more animals, tractors, etc. Ironically, the new neighbor mentioned earlier, I will keep his name private as well, and his family bought 5 acres from us and are only slightly behind us, although ahead of us on garden and animals. So isn't this great? A Canarian, a listener to Canary Cry News Talk, purchased 5 acres of off-grid property, and to the guy he purchased the property from, told him about the show. God, look at that. That's beautiful. I love to see it. I wonder if it was part of the deal. You know, the real estate agents will do whatever it takes to make the sale. And if it's written into the contract, like, here's the price, but if you listen to this podcast, I'll give you this other price. I'm hoping that's how it happened. We have pretty devoted producers. Anyways, I wanted to give a quick shout out to you guys, and honestly, listening to Basil's Bunker 2 on my drive home made me feel obligated to reach out. Mwahahaha. I got you. My humble 2 cents, and this is why I brought this up. My humble 2 cents on the reason most people don't pull the trigger and take drastic measures, like going off grid, for example, is mostly because of convenience and security of city life. I thought about this exact issue an awful lot. We actually had to return to Western Washington recently because of a sudden death in my wife's side of the family, and boy, oh boy, is it absolutely horrific and insane over there. Yes, Western Washington is horrific, insane on itself. I can't imagine coming off grid. Honestly, folks, once you get out of the cities, you realize why you ever were there in the first place, and going into the city is absolutely horrifying. Everything about it. Let's see here. We're so happy, and our kids are as well. They spend tons of time outside with their animals and play like kids used to. We have sacrificed a lot to do this, and it's been a huge challenge, but we wouldn't change anything. We feel like aliens when we are around those people over there, even our families. They actually seem to be fully, see, look at that. You start feeling like city folks are aliens. I can totally empathize with that. I don't want to get into anything too personal here, but they do mention, normies. Normies are difficult. People are buying into the system. People are being convinced away from the idea of getting 17 acres in northern Idaho. It's better to stay in the city, stick with your crazy people. No, folks. You know the truth. You know the truth in your heart. And then mentions, being so far out there and being away from the hullabaloo. Of course, finding a church is difficult, but we're so very happy to be a community for you, dear producer. Stick around. Get involved. Canarians and Bunkeroos especially. are a special breed, and we stick together because that's what the Lord wants us to do. I believe God put your show on my radar because it's been a refreshing time to let go of some anger and frustration and know that there are sensible Christians out there. Listen to that. Thank you very much, producer. And here's the thing, folks. If nothing else, I'm here to just encourage you to go for it. Okay? If there's a mission statement of this show, it is me encouraging you. Every single millennial, I can speak for my generation, every single millennial has fantasized about going off grid, going out into the country, getting some chickens, getting some goats, cute little goats, and just doing it that way. It is almost genetically installed in us millennials. And yet we are of the age where we are starting to, it's kind of like this inflection point. It's an inflection point where we're kind of approaching middle age. Some of us are officially middle age. How creepy is that? Sorry, millennials. Sorry to tell you the truth. Somebody has to. You're basically middle age. And if not, you got a few years. Stop waiting. Stop waiting to get the goats. Stop waiting to get the chickens. The only thing keeping you from going off grid or whatever is your own mindset. It's your mind holding you back. Off-grid properties are the same or cheaper than houses in the neighborhood with the HOA. You got to let go of the city mindset. You got to let go of being involved, being the center of attention. This is something millennials are just now kind of learning, which is up until very recently, the whole world was geared for millennials. Now, hold on, let me explain. When you're of a certain age, you don't realize it until it's over. When you're of a certain age, all the marketing is targeting you. All the products are targeting you. All the apps, all the websites, all the services, it's all targeting you, millennials. We are just coming out of this time of life where we're realizing the clouds are parting. The scales are falling from our eyes. And we're realizing that the world is not for us anymore. But don't get dejected. Don't be sad. This is good news. It means the power of civilization over your mind, over your will, over your thoughts, over everything. The things that have been chaining you to society, those chains are crumbling. Hallelujah. You can leave. You can go off grid. You're going to love it. I promise you. And to hear more about that, let's take a call-in. We're going to do some call-ins here in a second. Yes, this is fun. See, folks, we're figuring out the format. We are not waiting until the end of the show. I got to stop reading chat sometimes. You guys are silly. We're not waiting till the end of the show to do callers. We're just going to let the Lord lead the callers when they show up. You can come wait in the waiting room. You can just come hang out. You can actually watch the show while you're in the waiting room, which is awesome, except for you're not watching it on Rumble or YouTube or something like that. You are watching it in the actual studio with me. And let's see here. Our first caller who came in, there she is. Okay, she's there. Our first caller actually called before the show even started. She was in the waiting room while I was still getting it set up, which is hilarious. She got to listen to me talk to myself and panic as I was trying to get things started. And so this is a producer, longtime producer of Canary Cry News Talk. You know her, you love her. This is Dame Sarah of the Shadows. How you doing, Dame Sarah?
Hello, Canary Cry family. How you guys doing?
That is so fun. We can even hear you. Look at you. You got a virtual background on. This is good. It looks like, are you in a brick bunker? Gotta love those brownstone bunkers.
Classic. Old school, timeless.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. Before we get into it, Will you tell the people how difficult it was to get to where you are now in the waiting room of Basil's bunker?
It was really easy. I get a notification on my smartphone. I
Hmm.
forwarded it to my work computer and
Oh,
I clicked the link. It was so easy.
there we go. Clicking links, folks. If you can click links, you can get on the show. So
It's
Dame
like
Sarah,
maybe 3 links, all 3 clicks all together.
3 clicks. Now that might sound like a lot to millennials. Our fingers are getting arthritic. We're getting old. Every click is we're making some sort of sacrifice. But 3, I think, is still fair. Thank you so much. It's exciting to. I like having people in the waiting room during the show for a few reasons. I don't need to get all into it now, but it gave me such a sense of comfort that I have not had on other shows. So thank you for that. Now, here's the thing. Um, you told me something before the show that I think is very relevant, but I don't. We don't need to start there. If you had something else you wanted to talk about, did you have something specific you wanted to chat about?
I wanted to ask you about your rabbits. We haven't
Yes.
heard from them. I might have missed an episode. Are they still
Yes.
out and about?
Yes. Okay. So the rabbits, thank you for asking. You'll notice I don't mention the rabbits a lot when I list the animals, but it is not because I don't love them very much, and it's not because they're not there. There's just so many of them that I can't think of them as individuals. They are just the bunnies. They have multiplied and made a home in a way that I never could have made it for them. I've told the story in the past where there's been a couple times where a windstorm has blown open their gate, and maybe 8 generations of bunnies have escaped. And they have started breeding with the wild hares. Now, the wild hares and bunnies, they're very different. The bunnies, they're what are they called? They're these big fat meat bunnies. They get these rolls. They get these huge rolls all over their body because they're specifically meat bunnies. And wild hares, if people kind of know the difference, wild hares are like insane shapeshifters. Like they look more like dogs almost. They stand up tall. They don't just kind of flop down. They stand up over the earth, and their ears are gigantic and go straight up instead of floppy. And their tail is extremely long. They've got a very long tail that they stick up. Versus my meat bunnies are floppy and roly polies and nothing like the wild hares. Well, the wild hares and the bunnies have been breeding, and so I have my very own brand of hybrid Nephilim bunnies that run around. There's like 30 of them. Every time I open my door and walk outside, they scatter. It's kind of like a Snow White, type of thing. And I love them very much. I do still have about 9 bunnies in captivity. And they're very fat, they're very happy, they would not survive out in the wild, and I love them very much. I have yet to do the work to learn how to process them for meat. Um, and maybe that's why I don't sort of refer to them often or talk about them, because I'm trying to keep an emotional like veil between the bunnies and me, because I know the plan is to eat them. I was given the number of somebody who actually gives bunny processing lessons in my area, which that's what I got to do. I got to call that person. Have not done it yet. But that is the current state of the bunnies over here on Basil's bunny bunker tinfoil hat prepper
Okay.
paradise. Yes. Do you have bunnies?
No, it's going to be a fall project for us. Um,
Okay.
looking to get some meat rabbits. So I'm,
Yes.
you know, I
Do you know how many you're going for?
think we're gonna start with like 3,
Okay, that's
1
how
buck
I
and 2
started.
does,
That is
and go from there. See
that
what
is
happens.
exactly how I started, and it will not be very much
Will not be
time
long.
until you have hundreds of them.
I have heard
Um,
the cartoons are true. What
yeah,
bunnies do, they do best.
there's a little secret for those who are on the Canary Cry supply drop. If you get the Canary Cry supply drop, you get the Legends of the Canarium trading cards that are just like fun trading cards that I make about stuff on the show. People love them. And there was a trading card for Basil's Bunny Ranch tinfoil hat trading card thing. And one of the stats that I put on that card as like, kind of fun stuff, eventually it'll be a game that you can play. Uh, there's an actual equation to calculate the rate of breeding of bunnies. Hold on, let me grab this. Let me see if I can find it. Equation of bunny breeding. Have you what's the word? Processed any other animals?
I have processed a lot of chickens and ducks
Okay.
and lobster.
The lobster. Okay. Is this a wild caught lobster?
Yes. So I grew up in Massachusetts,
Uh-huh.
and we got to do all the fun New England things, including go out and catch them. That's what I did as a small child.
That is a skill that not a lot of preppers are putting too much attention on, I think. The harvesting of wild lobsters. There's a lot of different ideas about lobsters. Some think they're the cockroaches of the sea or whatnot, and that might be true. But when all is said and done, I mean,
They are the
going out and
easiest to process, in my opinion,
yeah, that's what I was gonna
yeah,
say. There's no
by far.
squealing. There's no tears. There's no
Pretty
puppy.
quick, painless.
Yeah, there's no puppy dog eyes looking back at you, asking why, father, why, father. I'll give the lobsters a try. Um, okay, yeah, and the chickens and the ducks, I would say it's a step or two. Sounds like above lobster, but bunny does seem like a whole new level for me. Are you excited to get blood on your hands?
Oh, don't say it like that. But yes, that will be my
do you,
job to harvest, I suppose.
okay. Do you
Yes.
crave? Do you do you crave
I stay in the
violence?
shadows. I just come in when needed and do my thing.
So, as people may have already deduced, well, I don't have the details necessarily, but you are living some version of like an off-grid homesteading lifestyle. Is that correct?
Yes. So just a few weeks ago, my husband and I closed on a home, a little over an acre and a half.
Hmm.
So we've moved in, got settled in, and now we are starting the off-grid migration. We have well water, we have septic, and we are going to look into alternative energy sources here in the
Yes.
next year and
Yes.
be totally off the grid. But we're actually 10 minutes away from a small downtown that has everything we
Yes.
need. We are about an hour away from a larger Eastern Standard Time city. And really, if we need to, we can, but no one knows we exist out here. So it is the life.
That is the way to do it, right? That is absolutely the way to do it. I am in a similar situation in that if I needed to get to an ER, I could drive myself 15 minutes
Hmm.
to this like kind of rural ER, but it's got a Starbucks, it's got a Taco Bell, it's got a
Yeah,
it's got a
we got
grocery
Taco Bell.
store. But
Hmm.
this is how it is for me. You tell me how it is for you. You still feel like absolutely out of the way, right?
Absolutely. So where I'm sitting in my home, I took the office because I work from home. My front window that I'm facing is a busy street that I've seen maybe 2 cars on so far
Oh,
today.
oh my
I
goodness.
know that there are neighbors on the other side of the road. I've never seen them. I know that there are neighbors somewhere on either side of me. Again, we've never seen them. I can't
Yeah,
look out my front door and see another human.
I love it. I love it so much. It's very similar. There is a weird vibe sometimes, though, that I know, the only cars that should be passing my place is my two neighbors. Nobody else should be there. And of course, I
Mhm.
know exactly what their cars look like. But when some outsider comes wandering in and you see
Mhm.
a car you don't recognize, you get a little suspicious.
Yes, definitely.
We are turning into the weird rural people who are suspicious of everybody who gets lost. We are the people fear in the horror movies when their car breaks down on a dirt road.
Yep,
There's
absolutely.
there's power in that. We can find our power in that. Team Sarah.
That's right. It's a pretty great place to be. I'll say we're very, very thankful that we were able to find this place and afford it
Yeah.
when we were able to.
How did you find, just because we're on the theme of encouraging people to just do it? Now look, obviously our world right now is not it is purposefully organized in a way that is making it more difficult and more difficult for people to even conceive of the idea of owning a home, or much less owning property, right? What
Mhm.
was what you don't need to tell me your financial details, but how did you find the difference between like looking at houses in town and finding the rural stuff? Like what, how would you encourage somebody out there with the data from your experience?
The biggest thing we had going for us was we got a real estate agent that understood what we were looking for
Yes,
and shared those values. Our
that is
first
big.
person that we're looking with seemed to think we wanted an uptown penthouse suite, and that's not at
Oh,
all we were
weird,
looking for.
weird.
So we
Yeah,
fired him and found a lady who was a master gardener and did real estate on the side.
there we
We said,
go.
"We're looking for land." And she said, "Oh, that's a good call, sweetie. Uh, let's find you some land and see if there's a home we can put on it later." And that's what we did. We
Oh,
found a one-bedroom house.
okay. There was a house. There was a house on
Yes,
there. Okay,
yes. And we
bonus.
built a workshop, and then we will build a rabbit clutch later on.
I love it. Do you guys find that you are achieving things in ways of your personal skills and know-how that you maybe didn't expect that you would maybe even be able to do?
Definitely. I think I'm much better at calling and making appointments than I thought I was because we need to just, get things done. It's more of a priority. I've never not rented before.
Yeah.
I don't think my husband has either. Even as kids, I've moved in like 10 different states now, and
Oh
we've
wow.
picked one, which is unsettling. And yeah, now I knit. I learned how to crochet. We found a sewing machine, so I'm gonna start sewing. I'm really we're affirming our gender roles. It's very fun. He put together an old lawnmower that works for the
Yeah,
tiny bit of
buddy.
grass in the front,
Hmm.
and he built me some cabinets, and we're really learning to work with our hands and be proud of what we have accomplished, and not through Amazon, but through ourselves. And of
Yes.
course, through God Almighty. We can do
which is
anything.
which is totally something that millennials growing up, and now obviously not all of them, but the millennials that I know growing up, like the idea of having a job, and if not having a job, doing anything like with your hands, really, like building or just doing electrical work for fun or something, It's
Hmm.
just not even. It's just was never even thought about. It was never even considered. Um, but it really gives you this perspective on life when not only are you sort of forced to start being able to do things, but you start enjoying it. What?
Hmm.
Nobody told us this.
Yeah. Who knew it was fun to put in work for yourself?
There's
It's
there's been times where I've had just extra car batteries laying around and I'll just like hook up a solar panel to it just to keep it charged, just for fun. Recreational elect- electrical work.
I will say, as a professional nomad for quite a long time, it makes a lot more sense why my husband has just kept things on hand just in case we need it. We've needed almost everything he's just kept around.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, I get it now. I
My
understand.
gosh. That is such a huge part of it too. I've always been a hoarder. I've always been a never throw anything away ever, or you'll definitely regret it. But there's just no way that
Hmm.
you could possibly know what you'll regret, but you know you will someday. And yes, it has given me the freedom in the Lord to save every bolt, every nut, every strand of wire, and just keep it all in a big pile. And eventually a need comes up, certainly much more often than living in the city. So this is
Hmm.
a very life affirming thing for a lot of people out there, a lot of hoarders. Your
Hmm.
life starts to make way more sense when you get off the grid.
Yeah. Now I know why I've driven through parts of the country and I've seen just stuff hanging out in the front yard. I get it now.
Yep.
And I understand these people and I want to be these people. Just a
Yep.
random broken vehicle in my front yard, I think, would be the perfect touch.
You never know. You never know. I know. We've been taught that that is an aesthetic that communicates uh, a lower status, not just of economically, but it's like, oh, they're messy. They don't care what their yard looks like. They're redneck or white trash or whatever. That car on blocks is representative of them being a worse person than us. When in
Mhm.
reality, that's just someone who's ready to, I don't know, put together some sort of gadget or fix their home with something they can pull out of that car.
Look, they're living life. It's
It's
it's exciting.
oops, Dame Sarah has there we go. Oh, you're
Oh, am I
back.
back?
Yep,
Sorry.
you gotta
That
love
is the
the
yeah,
rural internet.
rural internet.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well,
Sorry, I rolled my chair 2 inches to the left
oh, that'll
and it went
happen.
down.
Yeah. Well, this is so fun. I'm so glad to have gotten a chance to talk to you. Do you have any last
Basil, if I
words?
can say one more thing.
Yes, of course, please.
So, in my quest to be completely self-sufficient, you have to get part of the Canary Cry T-shirt council
Yes.
and see the most comfortable, best quality T-shirts I think I've ever had. They
Aren't
hold
they
up in the
great?
washing machine. They do not
Yes.
fade and they stay comfortable. My
Thank
friends,
you.
you got to get on the T-shirt council.
I love that, Dame Sarah. Thank you. Dame Sarah is not even getting paid an affiliate code for that or anything. But yes, shout out to Sir Ike, who, when we're doing the t-shirts, well, when he's doing the t-shirts, he's sending us pricing and figuring it out. He is always keeping quality in mind. Our t-shirts are like some of the best t-shirts that I've
Mhm.
ever owned. So thank you so
Yes.
much for that. Dame Sarah and everybody, if you're interested in the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, you can go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com. That's right, and it's an illustrious secret society of producers of this show who make the most important decisions in the world, and that is what is on the next Canary Cry T-shirt. And you sign up, support the show for $19.84 per month, and every quarter, we send you a free t-shirt. It's a good time. Thank you for the opportunity to plug that, Dame Sarah. You're the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for coming on the show, Bunkeroo. And
Yeah.
Hey, feel free to call in anytime. If some sort of, maybe we can do some sort of like off-grid homesteading tech support for people or something, or something like that. That'll be great. Thank you very much. Okay, let me see if I can move this around. There we go. We did it. We did a call. Yeah, baby. We got somebody sitting in the waiting room. I see him moving around. You get ready. You get ready, mister. You hang on 1 second while we do some transitioning here. So there you go, folks. I'm just telling you, just get out and do it. Funny story about my real estate person who is helping me look around and find stuff that's available. We're looking at rentals. We're looking at different variations. Look, here's the fun thing about the rural community. You can get real creative about the status of your occupation of some land. It's just a little bit more creative about what exactly is going. Are you a renter? Do you have a lease? Do you own this property? Who knows? Who even knows? But she was not a rural person. She was one of these gals. I'm no longer in Southern California. She was a Southern California gal. She would wear leopard print high heels when we would go out to look at like 60 acres on a creek. And I was like, don't worry, you can stay here. I'm going to take a walk around the property. You don't have to come. And she was just like, oh, I'm coming. And she was tromping. That's the only word for it. Tromping. She was a total trooper tromping out in the off-grid, scary wilderness. I think she grew. I think we both grew a lot in our journey together. We lived in like 12 different places of various, legal statuses. It's you got to take a look around, folks. But yes, one thing about real estate agents, most of them are very motivated to get that sale. Okay. Let me look at my notes real quick. Let me make sure we're all on track. Let me look at the timing on this sucker. 1 hour. Look at that. Okay, this is good. This is good. All right. I'm actually don't have the heart to make this person stay in the waiting room for much longer. We're going to get to him anyways. We might as well just check in on him now. And I'm going to do that. I see he is set up. Wow, beautiful. I'm going to add him to the stage. Here we go. Ooh, here we go. We've got Sir JC. Sir JC, Night of the Techno Squatch on the show. What's up, buddy?
Basil, how's it going?
There he is.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes. I
right,
love
cool.
this setup you got. For those who are just listening, I seem to be set down maybe on a lawn chair, and it's facing up towards the sky. Sir JC is standing triumphantly.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's actually a side view mirror of one of our cars.
Oh, I believe it. See, another great reason to keep your car in the yard is because you can use it as a live streaming tripod.
Yeah, so my son is sleeping in the house, so I just couldn't make any noise, so I had to walk outside.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good. Well, what's on your mind, Sir JC? Did you have something in mind to talk about today?
Yeah, I think last episode you were talking about different materials to better prepare yourself for an emergency.
Ooh, yes.
And so I live in the upstate of South Carolina, and the headquarters of North American Rescue are located right here. And they're a really great company that provides, your standard trauma kits, tourniquets, you name it.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Going back to the first aid kit, the trauma kit, the serious business. What's the name of that company again?
North American Rescue.
Okay, North American Rescue, not a sponsor of the show, but would love to talk
to
anybody over there.
I wish I could get some merchandise from them.
I know. So, do they have a website? Let's find out here. North.
Good.
Do you have any of their stuff?
Yeah, so I have a personal first aid kit that's got all the, stop bleed, gauze,
Yeah.
tourniquet, and I keep that in my truck. And then we keep another first aid kit, of course, in the house.
Oh, what the heck? It just took me to Amazon. I don't want to go to Amazon. I think, okay, I think I spelled something wrong. Sorry about that. Yes. Here's a question. Have you ever had to use any of the like more intense pieces that come with stuff like that?
Thankfully, no, but I would highly recommend getting trained on using some of that more intense first aid gear, knowing how to stuff gauze properly into a bullet wound, or how to set a broken bone, things like that definitely would come in
Yes.
handy.
Yes. Have you gotten the training on that stuff?
A couple years ago, I did. Yeah, most um, pistol and rifle shooting classes are going to have a segment on first aid before you even step on the range. So
Oh, interesting.
um, you kind of knock out two birds with one stone if you find the right company that's hosting training.
Yeah, that's great. Huh. I've never had one that had something like that. Okay, here we go. narescue.com. North American Rescue. Oh, looks very cool. I should probably let me put it on the screen here so people can see it. Boop. Oops. Boop. Hold on. Here we go. There we go. There we go. NorthAmericanRescue.com, the world's leading pre-hospital field tourniquet, the combat application tourniquet. Pre-hospital. That's a good name for this kind of stuff. This is pre-hospital gear. Look at this. Let me see if I can find some products here. This is cool. Okay, thank you for that. I'm gonna take a look at that. Yeah, um, I have not taken the classes that I want to take. I mean, as I said on the show before, it's like I'm seeing more and more value on spending money on things like training rather than products, even though I do love, I mean, prepper, any prepper knows you gotta love the products. You gotta love the gearhead aspect to prepping. But it doesn't mean anything unless you get the training. So that is definitely something I'm open to suggestions from anybody if they have ways. I mean, you can always, oh, here we go. You can always watch some like YouTube videos and stuff like that. But there you go. Highly recommended, everybody. So are you a bit of a prepper? What do you think? Are you more of a
We've
prepper,
done
more
some
of a
light prepping.
homesteader?
Yeah, I
Practical
think,
prepping. I call that practical
yeah,
prepping.
having some freeze dried foods, um, get a couple months supply, doesn't take up
Got
much
to do it.
space.
Yeah. And not out of, not unreasonable as far as price goes. Um
No,
I
yeah, when
mean,
you break it down, it's probably what, $1 a meal or something. I mean,
yeah, something like
it
that.
comes
You
out
can
really
get it
cheap.
for a couple bucks a meal. I mean, in fact, part of the fun thing is, of course, I've been talking about putting together some sort of, um, what is it, like a prepper subscription box. It just sounds fun to me.
Hmm.
So I've been talking with some producers who are uh, kind of helping me explore this idea. And I was thinking, when it comes to the food and stuff, some people are kind of weary of like going out and dropping whatever $500 on food they're just going to stick in the closet. I feel like a subscription type setup would make, you know, collecting emergency food a lot less painful.
Yeah, I think it's something people don't really think about. So if they're locked into a subscription, then they can at least start a little stockpile.
Yeah, set it and forget it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I wish I had that. Well, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe that's how Basil's Bunker, the podcast, will be funded. So tell me more about you. Are you off the grid? Are you got a bunker? Do you dig any holes? Recreational hole digging? Don't get me started on
Actually,
the.
no, we're in a HOA. We are as far from homesteading and off the grid as you could be at the
Oh,
moment. But we're getting our
God
house to
bless
sell,
you.
and yeah, maybe we won't be locked into an HOA at the next house.
Yeah, is that the plan? Do you think? You wanna do that? Is it something you've thought about in the past? Is it something you've fantasized about going off the grid?
Yeah, I think it's always been something that I've had a passion for, but it's just got to work out with all the work and home and balancing everything to make sure that that's the right choice for the family.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't feel like the world is organized in a way to encourage you to do that, is it? I mean, of course, especially with kids, you've got the homeschool question, you've got the, how far away do you live from a emergency medical place? Like that's always something to consider. But for those who are just listening, I'm looking at you. You look like a millennial, my friend. You look like
I am.
we're in the same generation, dreaming and fantasizing about having the goats, having the chickens. Are you married?
I am. Yeah, we just we're about to be celebrating 5 years in August, and had our first kid 4 months ago.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, you've got a 4 month old. Yeah, might be a
Yeah,
little tough right at this exact moment
it's
to go move off
it's
the grid.
yeah, you got to really strategize when kids come into play. So
Yeah. Yeah, once, at least let a year go by. You can bring a 1 year old off the grid. That's no problem. Uh what about your wife? Is that something that she's wanted to do?
yeah, she's into the homesteading social media wise, but putting in an application, putting boots on the ground is definitely a big step to,
Oh yeah.
you know, she's already worn out taking care of a baby right now. So
Oh yeah. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Do you mind what part of the country do you live in? Do you mind sharing?
yeah, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Here we go. We're going to
Yeah.
find you. I'm going to pull up South Carolina in landsearch.com. This is a new service I'm offering on this show. Okay? You
Hey
call
Basil,
in, we're going to
the
yeah.
baby just called, so I do
Oh
have
no.
to hang up early. I'll
You
keep listening, but
you got to get out of
appreciate
here.
the time.
No worries. You
Yep.
keep listening. I'm going to look at some property in South Carolina for you, buddy.
All right, brother.
Take it easy. Okay, there you go. Easy peasy. That's how it works, folks. Here we go. I got South Carolina. This is for JC. Look at this, $374,900. 100 acres in Robeson County. 100 acres? JC, not of the Techno Squatch. Get yourself 100 acres for the price of a regular house. Now, there is a picture here of the quote unquote dwelling. It looks like somebody took a stab at framing out a house. Maybe I guess maybe 600 square foot house. They didn't get very far. It did get framed. You could camp. I don't know if this is conducive to a 4 month old baby, but it's 100 acres. Look at that. You got a pond. Oh, there's a hunting nest there. Wow, that's beautiful. Who knew? South Carolina. Okay, there you go, Sir JC, now to the Techno Squatch. Check out 270 Scarlet Drive, Fairmont, North Carolina, 28340. 400 grand, 100 acres. Crazy. And for those who might be, on a little bit less of a budget, 2.69 acres, 39 grand. That's less than a Ford F-150. Couple acres. That's pretty good. 11 acres, $42,000. 11. 24 acres with a house, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, Manufactured home, $499. Folks, South Carolina, you have no reason. You have no reason to be on the grid, South Carolina. Get out there. All right. I took myself off. This is hard to control still. Okay. All right. I wanted to tell you a story. People wanted to hear more stories from my experience doing my thing. I think I've told this story on Canary Cry News Talk before, but I'll tell it here again because it's a story that's really stuck with me. It stuck with me, and Nick Twisp in the chat is bringing up the emus, saying emus need to stretch their legs. It's true. Emus got to run, baby. That's the whole life story of an emu. Emus got to run. Every summer so far since I've moved out here, I have expanded the emu pen by about what is it? What's about 1,000 square feet. It's expensive, getting that welded wire fencing. Got to go out there, put the stakes in yourself. It's a hot job. It's not something that I could do like a gigantic pasture in one go. But every time you got a couple $100 in the bank, you can get some more of this wire and expand the emu pen a little bit. So I've been doing it once a summer. I'm getting ready to do it for this summer because emus got to run, baby. But I told the story about for my birthday. This was for my birthday, I think, last year. I'm like, what am I going to do for my birthday? I don't know. I don't want to do anything. I don't care about anything anymore. The only thing I care about is what I'm doing, where I am. And so, I'm I'm a loner in that I live off the grid and far away and nobody ever sees me. But I have some friends. I got friends in town, longtime friends. And so instead of going out on the town or getting some drinks or going to dinner with my friends, I had a Amish themed barn raising party where I invited every person basically I had ever met to come out to the property. Here's the thing. People love coming out to the property. A lot of them never been out here before. A lot of them had only heard rumors of where Basil was, what he was doing. So I sent out an invite. Everybody I know, come on out. It's my birthday. We're going to raise a barn. You get to hang out with emus. We'll have some pizza. Let's go. Let's go. Probably had about 20 people come out. It was cool. It was a nice crowd. And, man, it's kind of fun bossing everybody around to build an emu shelter. I say bossing around, but, I can show some pretty effective leadership skills if I need to. So as the foreman on this project, birthday foreman, and friends went to work. Great fun, lots of fun, great time, folks. If you're wondering, if you're a millennial like me and you're sort of looking over the horizon and seeing middle age come at you pretty quick, and you're wondering, what the heck, why even celebrate birthdays anymore? Put on a barn raising party. The Amish have known. The Amish have known for a long time what you're supposed to do with your friends. Okay? Get out of the city. And more than anything, get the city out of you. You're not going out for drinks on your birthday. What are you, 20? Got a fake ID? Going out having some drinks at the club with your friends? No. You're calling those friends. You're telling them there's a barn to build. And the Lord has bound us together, yoked us on his green earth to subdue it and prosper. We are the people of God. And when we come together, much like the Tower of Babel, if we come together under one purpose, we can accomplish anything. When was the last time that you had a birthday and when your friends walked away from it, they had a sense of accomplishment? They felt good about themselves. When was the last time your friends built anything? When was the last time your friends held a screwdriver Folks, my city friends, most of them, I got some pretty handy friends, but most of my friends have never held a power tool. Now, I didn't trust those ones with the power tools at the barn raising party. I'll give you that. But man, oh man, you put 20 of your friends together to work for about 6 hours building a shed in an emu pasture, everybody's smiling. Everybody's sweating, everybody's smiling. And I'll tell you what, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. They are going to be telling the tales of Basil's birthday Amish barn raising party for the rest of their lives. You know what they're not going to be talking about? That time they went out and got drinks or went to a restaurant for Basil's birthday, mostly because I wouldn't possibly ask anybody to do that. But that's unmemorable, unoriginal, pedestrian. That's city people stuff. Have an Amish barn raising. You don't even need to be off grid. You don't need to be out on land. Go to your backyard. You don't even need a shed. You don't need a shed. Have them build a shed in your backyard. Have them sign it. Give them a sense of accomplishment. And if your backyard isn't big enough to hold that shed, if that backyard shed is useless to you, don't worry. Because a mighty wind will come swooping through, picking up that unneeded shed and throwing it over a fence. Because that is exactly what happened to the emu structure that my friends built for me on my birthday at the Amish barn raising party. They built the shed. It wasn't the best shed. You know, it's not quite. It's like a structure. You know, a structure that emus could get out of the wind, get out of the rain, take some refuge. Didn't have a door that closed, just an opening for them to go in. 36 hours. 36 hours this shed survived. And a mighty wind from the Lord swept across the property. Lifted up this shed. It had to have weighed at least 1,000 pounds. It's a lot of lumber. I mean, let me see if I can count off the top of my head. Talking about maybe 8, 10, 12 particle boards. You know, maybe 1, 2, you know, maybe 50 feet of 2x4s. All the nails, all the screws. This thing weighed a ton. There was a mistake. There was a mistake in the design of this shed, which means it was a mistake of mine. This shed had overhangs on the roof. The roof overhanged on either side about 1 foot, maybe more. Maybe it was 2 feet. Just enough for when the Holy Spirit moved across the plains and a mighty wind came sweeping through, God himself picked up that shed and yeeted it over the fence. I come out the next morning. I go to check the emus, where once formerly there was a new shed that my friends built. It was gone. I literally thought somebody stole it. I didn't anchor it into the ground because I wanted to move it throughout the year. Obviously a mistake. Shed got picked up, thrown over a 6-foot fence, and absolutely disintegrated on the other side of the fence. Took me a while, too, to figure out what happened. That was a confusing morning. You ever wake up in the morning and a building is missing? It was a unique experience. I thank God for it every day. So that shed got absolutely destroyed. Uh, not a if it were in the Old Testament, there would be not one particle board laid upon another. Not two 2x4s met or yoked to one another. The whole thing just disintegrated. Luckily, the pieces were still there, though. The lumber itself didn't sustain too much actual damage. So what I had was kind of like a emu shed Lego set, where I built the Lego set of the emu shed and then I destroyed it, but I still had the Lego pieces. What did I do? I left it there for a very long time. It was very sad. It's very sad. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the will. I didn't have the strength to do anything. It just stayed there in a pile for at least a couple weeks. Maybe more. Maybe a month. Maybe 6 months. Something like that. Eventually, I went out there. I took the screws out of the lumber. I put the lumber in a pile. It's just kind of organized. I was just tired of looking at it. Snakes. Snakes were living under the particle board. It became a hostel for rattlesnakes, literal rattlesnakes. It became they're putting no, I'm not going to draw that comparison. That's not a good comparison. It was a hotel for snakes. And I had run-ins with these snakes. One of these snakes doesn't have a head anymore. Actually, multiple don't. There was a lot of snake killing there for a while because I left this lumber. I mean, if that's not a biblical metaphor, I don't know what is. The Lord picks up your shed, throws it over the fence. You leave it there. You're too sad. You leave the lumber. The lumber becomes a literal den of vipers where you can't even go near it. You got to go in to your pile of lumber like Jesus going into the temple, turning over tables. I mean, literally turning over these particle boards, finding 2 or 3 snakes underneath, then absolutely Old Testament slaughtering these snakes. But I got it up, I cleaned it up, put it all in a pile, and I was just looking at this lumber, this pile of lumber for a long time, just like, what? I can't build another one. I don't want to build another one. The emus don't even really care about the wind. Emus really don't even care about the rain. They're also not smart enough. Like, they don't understand that you can go under something and not get rained on. On top of that, they love the rain. They love water. It's like, why did I do this? This is a lot of lumber. This is a lot of money. But then the puppies came. I know, I was just as surprised as everybody else. I was just as surprised as anybody else. I got a couple of dogs. The coyotes, they were getting too bad. Coyotes ate a bunch of chickens. Dogs, love them. Love other people's dogs. Huge fan of other people's dogs. A bit high energy. A bit high energy for the time and energy and emotional labor that I have available to me right now and in the past. But the situation happened where a friend of mine had puppies from their dogs. They had 2 dogs left. They would bring the dogs out to the property just to have fun, let them run around. They're so cute. They're like 4 months old. So cute. Little teddy bears. And they asked me if I wanted these dogs. And I said, I mean, I do have coyote problems. It seems like I should have dogs. Like other people who are off grid, they have dogs. My neighbor's dogs actually are really annoying. You're out in a rural area and these dogs, everybody just lets their dogs run around. Like, you just have random bands of dogs walking up to your walking across your property. You got to be careful. You can't, these dogs got to be careful. People are keeping an eye out for wolves and coyotes and stuff. But I got the dogs. I got them. Under one condition. I told my friend who was trying to get me to take these dogs. They thought it was so romantic. Like, oh, the puppies, my children, the children of my dog, they get to live out in the wilderness. They get to live out in the rural. They'll be farm dogs. It'll be so cute. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Under one condition, though, just so you know, you need to know this. These dogs are going to be working dogs. They're going to live outside. They are working dogs, especially at night. They need to be outside at night because that's when the coyotes come. There's no point for me to have dogs that sleep inside. So the dogs are going to live outside. And they said, okay, that sounds great. Again, I think it was a little bit more romantic sounding to them than it was to me. But I had these little puppies. They're so cute. They drive me absolutely bonkers. Anybody who's ever had a puppy from Puppy, I don't know. I don't know how people have puppies in their house. I couldn't do it. I could barely have puppies outside on property, on land, where these puppies were like 4 months old, just running around in seemingly endless freedom. Endless freedom. They love it. But then it started getting cold. Wintertime came around. Look, I know some people think I'm heartless about the dogs. I'm not. I love them very much. They started to get a little cold when the snow started falling. And even I could not stand the idea of these dogs sleeping outside in the snow. I'm pretty sure it's illegal, number one. Pretty sure it's immoral as well. I wasn't going to do it. So I built the dogs a house. And what do you think I built that house out of? First of all, it took me 2 hours. Nothing. Threw it together. Become so proficient rather, with these saws, these power tools, these drills, impact drills. See, I know tools. Threw it together, 2 hours, no problemo. You want to know why it was so easy and so fast to build these dogs a house? Because it was already a house once. It was a house. It was a Lego set for an emu house. It was already pre-cut. The pieces were cut. The plan was there. I just put it back together by myself. No Amish barn raising party this time. So basically, I threw an Amish barn raising party for my friends to come out and not build me an emu structure, but to assemble a doghouse kit that I could put together. Is actually kind of great. I thought it turned out pretty good. And so there's a metaphor in there somewhere. There's a lesson in there somewhere. That's just kind of how it is. Homesteaders out there, repurposing. That's a regular part of the lifestyle. Repurposing materials from something or the entire thing to solve a problem. The problem gets solved. And yes, the Lord can completely destroy your house of cards. That house of cards could have been your genius emu house, or it could be your very life, folks. I'm going somewhere with this. You thought I didn't have a plan. I do have a plan. Bunkeroos who've been around for a while, if you listen to Canary Crying News Talk, you know the past 6 months of my life have absolutely been the worst 6 months that there have been. Plagued with problems, adversaries on every side, people that I have walked in the house of the Lord with, turning on me in very extreme ways. Ways that is probably inadvisable for me to even talk about. but coming from all sides, not even just one group, every group, everything that I had done to help somebody, everything that I had done, every person who I had gotten close with, people who relied on me, people who I relied on, everything started falling apart. Started with just one thing 6 months ago, one little drama. And then the next month, there's another little drama, totally separate drama. Like every 3 weeks, some part of my life was falling apart. And you know, it's interesting. The Lord has an amazing way of doing this sort of thing, because I, 6 months ago, would have told you that my life was perfect. Everything is as it should be. Every relationship was great. Every environment I had access to was perfect. Business was great. You know, the podcast is doing great. No drama. Everything's doing wonderful. I would not quite brag, but maybe I was bragging a little bit to people. Like, yeah, dude, my life is just, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe I am just in heaven on earth right now. And to my recollection, you know, I'd give God the credit. But now 6 months in, I'm like, God, what is going on? Everything was so perfect 6 months ago. What is going on? What is this great wind blowing into my emu pasture and just in the dead of night picking up a structure and throwing it over a fence and disintegrating it into nothing? What is going on here? Thankfully, I've got a lot of very strong believers in my sort of circle of influence. And you know, they kind of just all saying the same thing. Oh, God's tearing you down to build you back up. God's tearing you down to build you back up. I did not have a good attitude about this. Did not have a good attitude about this piece of advice. Why can't he just build me up? Can he just build me up, please? I don't want to be broken down. It's hurting me. It's making me very sad to be broken down in all of these different ways. I would much prefer that the Lord just do his thing without making me so sad about it. Please. And I am not here, folks, to give you some halcyon Hallmark card 700 Club Christian dialogue about this. I tried. I've been getting it for 6 months. Before this show, I was cruising through my Bible, looking for, you know, scriptures and stories and stuff like this that, you know, showed how God was promising that he was only breaking me down because he's going to build me back up. Folks, that's a little tougher to find than you think. It's not quite so simple than telling somebody that things are bad because God's doing something good. It's not that simple. There are about a dozen books in the Bible that are all surrounded by how horrible things can be, how horrible they can get. And only like one of them ends in a happy ending. Job, okay? Job. We all know Job had a similar 6 months to me. And in the end, he was blessed and everything was tenfold and it was good and it was great. And we praise God. We do praise God. We glorify God's name for what happened in Job's life. But the rest of them, Lamentations, There's no happy ending in Lamentations. It can be hard sometimes. It can be really hard. And I'm just being real. I'm not here to give you the advice that my friends gave me, but I will tell you this. Producers just like you, and I still invite this, keep doing this, please. Producers just like you, dear listener, the past month after my friend died in April, that was the last straw. Like, I'm done with whatever, I'm done with this breaking down of my life. And since then, producers just like you. I had heard enough from my friends. I don't want to hear from my friends anymore. I don't want to hear from anybody, honestly. I have a very bad attitude. I developed a pretty bad attitude for a while there, folks. But producers of this show sending me emails and messages, text messages, telling me just the most horrific things that have happened in their life. Ah, I'm so blessed to have the problems that I have. I am so thankful to my God that my problems are mine. And I don't have the same problems as a lot of y'all. Because a lot of y'all are much stronger than me. A lot of y'all have been through it. I mean, I was holding my friend's hand when they died in the hospital. It's like the only person in the hospital room. Ooh, that was pretty dramatic. It's a pretty hard thing to do. Pretty tough situation. Grateful for whatever God's doing with it. But some of y'all's problems, man. Unthinkable stuff happening to people out there. And boy, oh boy, has my prayer life been on high gear lately. It's the only thing I can do. I've shared the anxiety that I feel after the full 6 months of total collapse. The anxiety that I feel feels like there's an actual murderer in my house at all times. And I don't know where they are. I don't know what weapon they have. I don't know if they're sleeping. They could be taking a nap. Or they could be right behind me. That's the type of anxiety I had for a long time. It got a little better, and then I described it as it's no longer a human murderer in the house, but it's a tiger, just a live tiger crawling around in my house somewhere. I don't know if the tiger's napping. I don't even really know if the tiger's hungry or not. I'm assuming it'll get hungry, but it's here. That's the kind of anxiety that I live with on a day-to-day basis. So every morning, this is something that lots of great men of God that I've known in my life have done, and that is to go on a walk, go on a prayer walk, first thing in the morning, get outside, walk around, take a lap, and just pray the whole time. And so I started doing that. Didn't really help anything. But I did it. And I would pray out loud specifically. I've always been a bit of a inside the head prayer person. Helps when you're trying to pray often and throughout the day. Inside prayers are totally fine, totally cool. Out loud prayers, that's not so God can hear you better. It's how I can hear me better. And it's also how the demons can hear me better. You're praying in your head. Demons can't read your mind. That's what I was always taught. Demons don't have the power to read your mind. You know, the demons around you, spirits, principalities, powers, whatever version of that you want to reference here, whatever they are, they don't read your mind. They only see and hear what you do and say out loud. And so that was a bonus. Praying out loud. Did it for weeks and weeks. And then just yesterday, today was only my second day doing this. Just yesterday, I'm like, time to kick it up a notch, baby. Come on, God. Oh, by the way, during this time, got really comfortable repenting. Really, really, really comfortable repenting. Repenting for this, repenting for that, repenting for stuff I didn't even know if I did, but like it's totally possible. You know, I had this thought, I had this feeling, I had this expectation. I wasn't aligned with God's will in this way. I wasn't aligned scripturally in this other way. Lots of repentance. But what happened is my life felt like it was this house of cards. I hadn't considered that maybe I was taking credit. I don't know. Whatever it was, lots of repenting. But just yesterday, kicking it up, baby. What's next? What's next on the Basil scale of desperation? Prayer life elevation. Once I got used to praying out loud, the next thing I started doing yesterday was singing. No, sorry. A couple days ago, started singing. Whole prayer walk. This is like half hour to an hour. Walking around, singing the prayers. Not a good song. I mean, I wasn't writing a song that I could share with people. I'm a broken person, a broken man, a full-grown, broken man walking around alone in a rural area singing my prayers, singing praises, blah, blah, blah. And of course, God, of course, praying, singing, that whatever song I'm singing is what God wants me to sing. Whatever lyrics I'm writing, whatever melody I'm singing, it's got to be God's song. It's useless if it's not his song. But I don't know, maybe singing the praises, singing out loud, the lamentations of my life, the repentance. It's fun to think about dark spirits, demons, principalities, powers, these types of things, like trying to follow me around, trying to like stay in my atmosphere, trying to stay pestering me, that kind of thing, sticking around. I'll tell you what, these were not traditionally good songs. It has got to be so annoying to be a demon trying to get at me, and I'm singing just the crudest, and I mean that in sort of a musically technical level. It's just a caveman inventing music level of songs. And it's your assignment, like Screw Tape style, it's your assignment to like follow this podcaster around and like keep him sad and keep him the God has allowed your little sneaky little demon butt to like be able to come pester this podcaster out in the middle of nowhere, and then he just starts singing praises. That's got to drive them crazy. I think that might be the most effective thing about all of this. I wouldn't want that job. You couldn't pay me enough to do that. And so this is the level. This is the level that we get. This is the level that a lot of us have been. You guys, man, you guys have had it way worse than I have. So I recommend that. One thing through all of this, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Going through this myself, I have noticed through my pattern recognition skills used in media deconstruction and analysis. Canary Cry News Talk, check it out, Monday and Wednesday. uh, people have told me outright as well, like, I don't know what's going on the past 6 months. Past 6 months, spiritual warfare out of control. Never seen before. Last 6 months, worst 6 months of my life. People are telling me this unbidden. Not even just producers who have heard me talk about it, but people I meet. There's two of them. Two people have opened up conversations with me with, man, past 6 months, something is not okay. So I say this to say I'm 100% sure through faith that at least one person out there is going through it just like me. I don't know your situation. I don't know your name. I don't know your status. I don't know your salvation status. I don't know if even you are a believer. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe you grew up in the church like me. I don't know. Whatever it is, you're going through it too. Look back at your last 6 months. Have they been the most spiritually torturous 6 months of your life? Has it been the absolutely redonkulously tough time living your life as your life? Does your life not even really look anything like the life you had 6 months ago when you thought things were going great? Somebody out there, if that's you, start walking and singing, baby. Just take a walk and sing to God. And if you don't know what to sing, just start singing. It'll come to you. Holy Spirit's with you. Holy Spirit will show you what to do. Maybe that should be a part of bunker culture. All right, everybody, take out your notebooks. Under bunker culture section, made a note for booby traps. Made a note for Al Corby. Last episode, we had bringing a gift. If you're a normie and you're planning on latching on to your prepper friend's survival plan, bring a gift. Doesn't matter what it is. Just show you're a part of the team. I'm thinking, if somebody's coming up to the bunker door, clank, 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 or they're coming onto your homestead or whatever, you know what's not going to get you shot immediately? Is singing. I recommend this to everyone. This is kind of on the, I don't know what side this is, but we're making it part of Bunkeroo culture here. If you are approaching the safe refuge of someone that you do not know, you better show up singing a song. If nothing else, at least have some sort of spiritual effect. It's disarming singing a song, especially singing a song badly. There's more jokes there, but I'm not going to make the jokes. Okay. You know what? Where are we at? We're coming up on 2 hours. Which is probably good. Okay, let me pull this up. I was doing some thinking, doing some reading, looking at some things. There's this article I came across. Let me put it on the screen for you. Article I came across that says, question. Okay, this is from gotquestions.org, which is not necessarily a source that I would use for anything. I think it's a little odd, and I didn't know even who they were. But just so we know, gotquestions.org, flagship website of Got Question Ministries, a network of sites with a shared mission to glorify God and reach people for Christ by providing biblical answers to spiritually related questions. We are Christian, evangelical, theological, theologically conservative and non-denominational. As a parachurch ministry, our purpose is to come alongside the church, joining in the Great Commission Jesus entrusted his followers by offering support and answers to those seeking clarity on spiritually related questions. Okay. Sounds fine. I don't see any red flags there. So they had this question and answer called, should a Christian be a prepper or in any way be involved with doomsday prepping? Now, ain't this a big question, huh? Ain't this a question that we're talking about? We've been talking about the difference between a bunker and the biblical strong tower. There are bunkers in the Bible. I believe, if I remember correctly, let me see if I have it in my notes. What was the scripture we read last time? I think Revelation 6. Let's see. Oh, Judges 6. Judges 6 was one. And come on, load up. Isaiah 2:19 through 21. And there was, oh, there it is, Revelation. Sorry, I should be doing this on screen. I'm still getting used to this. Revelation 6:15 through 17. These are all places in the Bible where bunkers are described. The Bible doesn't have the word bunker, but it describes going underground, describes going into the mountains and the rocks, hiding among the mountains. Let's see here. What was the Isaiah? And they shall go into the holes of the rocks, into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. I mean, that sounds like bunkers. Sounds like bunkers in the apocalypse. God's coming through, shaking things up, going to the holes of the rocks, caves of the earth. And of course, Judges 6. They went into the dens, which are in the mountains and the caves and the strongholds. That's bunkers. It's bunkers. And in every situation like this, something horrible is happening. Like, it is a world-ending situation for these people when they are going into the strongholds and the caves and the dens. Whether it's a nation coming against them, whether it's God shaking the earth, whatever it is. So going into a bunker does not seem unbiblical. Let's see what ask questions. Let's see here. I don't necessarily want to read the whole thing. But let's read the intro here. The sky is falling. The end is near. Prepare now for doomsday. For centuries, people have been predicting the end of the world or some other cataclysmic disaster. And stirred by their passion, many more people try to prepare for it. Stirred by their passion for the disaster, they try to prepare for it. Preppers, as they are called, are known for stockpiling food, weapons, and other supplies as they await doomsday. That's a very narrow-minded way of describing preppers. Got questions? Even Christians have gotten caught up in end times predictions. Hello? Yeah. Are there non-Christian end times predictions? I guess there is. Tangling biblical prophecy with fear and current events. Some Christians believe they must physically prepare for Armageddon, the return of Jesus, or World War III. Those things are not equal, by the way. Got questions? Whichever comes first. Of course, Jesus is coming back, and the earth as we know it will someday come to an end. But should Christians be preppers? Does the Bible say anything about doomsday prepping? I don't know about that doomsday prepping. You can just say prepping. You can just prepare yourself. I think there's a lot about that. And they bring up a couple options here. They say, for instance, so prepping, I'm trying to summarize this for you, but regarding prepping, it says, for Christians to behave this way means that they have lost sight of our mandate to go and make disciples of all nations. I don't know if I agree with that. having some freeze-dried food and some water in the garage, does that mean you're betraying the Great Commission? They have also lost sight of the fact that God's people are not to live in fear. Okay. Isaiah 41:10, Matthew 10:28. It's like I get the spirit of what they're saying, but it kind of just seems a little psyopy to me. 1 Peter 3:14 says, "But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear their threats. Do not be frightened." So, gotta love it when one sentence of the Bible is taken out of context. So let's see. This bugs me. These Bible sites, you click on them and you try to get some context, but they give you all this stuff just on a single verse. They'll give you every single translation. They'll give you commentary. Let's see here. Oh, this one has context summary. Let's try that. 1 Peter 3:8-22 addresses all believers, commanding Christians to be unified and to refuse to seek revenge when wronged. Peter quotes from both David and Isaiah to show that God's people have always been called to reject evil and do good. This is true even when we are suffering. In fact, it may be God's will for his people to suffer, in part to demonstrate his power. Our good example can convict others into repentance. Christ too suffers. All right, questions.org. I don't think that 1 Peter verse is necessarily talking about prepping. Okay? Fear is one thing. Threats is another thing. Revenge is another thing. Suffering is another thing. I don't know if that applies. When fear or self-centered survivalism is the motivation for prepping, it becomes a lifestyle that cannot be supported by Scripture. Cannot be supported by Scripture. We are to live wisely in this world. Well, some of us would think that prepping is pretty wise. Got questions? While remembering that this world is not our home. And we are to love others as we love ourselves. Preppers, for the most part, have self-protection as their highest goal. Pretty presumptuous. Got questions? They stockpile for themselves and their families, but what about their neighbors? Kind of sounds like this was written by Kamala Harris. What about those who may be in need in times of crisis? What are the guns for? Are they prepared to shoot hungry families who come knocking on their barricade door? Inference by question. I read this before the show, and I was like, okay. I see. Maybe let's dissect this. As I'm reading and dissecting it on the show, I am totally in opposition to this whole thing. I was trying to give both sides. But this seems like some psyop, controlled church nonsense. The doomsday prepper mindset can take on a desperate life of its own and lead Christians down a decidedly non-Christian path. Yeah, I mean, if your Christian path is to sort of die when the food supply chain breaks down, to starve to death, is that your decidedly Christian path? Some Christians have adopted a prepper lifestyle with the purpose of being able to provide for the community in the event of catastrophe. Okay. They may have massive storage facilities from which, what is this? They may have massive storage facilities from which they already sell products and consider their food cache similar to Joseph storehouses. Some people have even created community gardens and neighborhood livestock barns and have enjoyed the camaraderie of their neighbors in this joint venture. Yeah, they're called the Amish. Such motivation is pleasing to the Lord because it is not self-centered. I'm going to have to wrestle with this one, folks. Yeah, Gabby L says 501c3 influence. That's a topic for another time, but not a bad point. I'm gonna have to sit with. I don't think this is not sitting right with me, folks. I am open, Lord. I repent if I have self-centered motivations. for my ideas about what prepping means. I do repent, change my mind if it must be changed. But I'm starting to be a little suspicious. A Christian may be a prepper. Oh, they're giving us permission. Okay. Got questions. Here to give you the conditions in which a Christian can prepare. A Christian may be a prepper if the Lord is directing that action as a means of furthering his kingdom and ministering to others. Well, that's something we can all agree on. That's the first sentence I think that I can fully get on board with. A Christian may be a prepper. You are allowed to be a prepper if the Lord is directing that action as a means of furthering his kingdom and ministering to others. Yes, everything that we do should be furthering his kingdom. I'm on board. If one's heart motive is love and a desire to utilize what God has given in order to share the gospel and care for as many people as possible in time of need, then prepping is a biblically sound choice. However, most prepping is motivated by fear and self-preservation. Again, making those leaps. I don't like it. It is driven by a lack of faith. And Romans 14:23 says, whatever it is not from faith is sin. The reason that a Christian becomes involved with doomsday prepping are what determine whether or not God approves. Yep, well, I'd say that about pretty much everything in life. I'd say pretty much every action or thought or will that a human could possibly consider. The reasons for which will determine whether or not God approves. So you got me there, gotquestions.com. All right. Well, I thought that was going to be more profitable than it was. But I see, this is that thing, man. This is that thing that I think a lot of people are agreeing with me out there. I think that's my feeling. I'm looking at the chat. If I'm wrong, people can certainly set me straight. Stephen David in the chat. Basil gaslighting himself reading this. That's good. That is very good. Yeah, I kind of feel like I did gaslight myself into, Stefan called the lack of faith argument. Yeah, that's the thing. So anybody listening to this show or interested in what this show is interested in talking about, these are all things that, like, your standard sort of cookie cutter, ejected from the vending machine of Christian advice with cherry-picked out of context scripture and assumptions, assuming the worst about somebody's intentions. What, are you going to shoot a family who's hungry? What? What are you talking about? Now, I mean, this is the world we live in, isn't it? Even the church, even Got Questions, whose whole ministry is to answer questions from a biblical perspective, or I take that back. Let me see. Let me get it straight here. Answering these questions with a Christian evangelical, theologically conservative, and non-denominational parachurch ministry context. This is why the elect are few, folks. That manufactured sort of American Christianity. It's so funny. Because on one hand, there was a time when I thought it important. I go back and forth in thinking that it's important to be critical of the American evangelical church. I think it's important to be critical and skeptical of any organization. Just the organization. Earthly organizations of man questioning authority. The authority of man. That's probably what this just boils down to. If an organization is making a statement, taking a stand on something, it's probably gone through so many rounds and layers and filters of administration and bureaucracy and tailoring to as many I was going to say as many people's perspectives, but not quite as many of the leaders' perspective. I mean, this take on Christian prepping does nothing but put the power into the hands of the establishment. Don't stockpile food, because you're a bad Christian if you do. Rely on the quickly disintegrating, quote, just-in-time supply chain that our American international conglomeration of elite evildoers have put together to sustain the country and keep the population subservient and reliant on the system. That's what this sounds like to me. All right, folks. I think that's about that. Thanks for listening to Basil's Bunker. I want to encourage everybody still, this may be the third episode, but I encourage you still to send me an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. canarycryradio@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know what you think of the show. Tell me what works for you. Tell me what doesn't work. Give me your creative ideas. Somebody please send me the notes that I asked for. Still nobody sent me a link about the, what was it? Fiery moat? Oh no, the fireplace in Indiana Jones. But yeah, producers, you're the ones doing it. Producers produce, baby. Value for value. Your time, your talent, or your treasure. That's what's going to keep this show going. And if the producers decide that the show's over, then the show's over. And that's okay. I won't have my feelings hurt if this was a failed experiment. But for the show to succeed in any way that is meaningful, I go ahead. I put it into the hands of the producers. Let me know what you think. Give me your ideas. Give me your inspiration. Get ready to call in. Call in is fun. Loving the call in. Maybe I should have a series of backup. Maybe I should I ask a question at the beginning of the episode that can at least maybe start off the call-in sections? I don't know. Sometimes callers got good stuff to talk about. Let me know, folks. Really appreciate it. And of course, thank you to Sir Darren for the pre-show ads that play on the live stream. Very funny, very funny. Maybe I'll play them at the end of the show here. I don't know if Gon's put them onto the podcast version of the show. So I'll play them here at the end because they're just fun. And it's probably a good way to end the show. Thank you to Jonathan F. for making the Basil's Bunker jingle so long ago. That makes it into the ads. And yeah, folks, let me know what you think. And if you are somebody who has a talent, here's what I was going to talk about. I think it'd be very fun. 2 ideas, very fun. Number 1, if we had a segment where like we together, all of us are like dreaming up a bunker, maybe artists kind of make different artistic renditions of it or pieces of it we kind of put together. I don't know exactly how the mechanics of that'll work, but it'd be kind of fun to like all build an imaginary bunker together. That sounds fun. Kids out there, I don't know if kids are listening to this show. I don't know if maybe they are. I don't know. If you got kids, if you're kids, hey kids, if you are listening to this show with your mommy or your daddy, you should get out your art supplies and draw your bunker. What would your bunker want to be like? I think that'd be fun. I'll show it off on the show. Go to canarycry.art or email it to canarycryradio@gmail.com. All right, folks, you're the best. Keep on bunking bunkeroos. See you next time on Basil's Bunker. And here's some ads from our fake sponsors.
In a world where survival is paramount and the wasteland throws its worst at you, only the strong can thrive. Introducing Emu energy drinks, with an apocalyptic powerhouse packed into every can, keeping you sharp, focused, and ready to tackle the wasteland with ease. An epic pick-me-up of haphazard chemicals, strong aftertaste, strange side effects, and unmatched rejuvenation. Emu energy drinks. Stay alert, stay alive.
It's the bunker.
Basil's Bunker End Time Supply subscription service. Plans starting at just $17.76 a month. No hidden fees. Cancel anytime. 33-day money-back guarantee. Call now for a chance to win an attachable six-finger. Perfect for plausible deniability and AI generations and for your secret Nephilim handshakes. Call now. 1-877-740-3226. Basil's Bunker is solely operated by the Razzle Dazzle Ranch. CCR, CCNT, and the Shimura Estate are not responsible for any claims or guarantees. Call now.
Welcome to Basil's Bunker, where we have many amenities in the advent of coming societal collapse. Bohemian Grove generators powered by Chinese lithium cobalt batteries. Anti-air defense systems rivaling the IDF Iron Dome. Endless end times food ration buckets. And recreational activities like emu wrangling or Monty pet training.
Booyah. Love it. Oh, I was sticking around because Krillin said that he was in the waiting room, but I don't see anybody in here. So maybe that was a joke. Thank you, Krillin. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Dame Sarah. Thank you, Sir JC, Knight of the Techno Squatch. Dame Sarah of the Shadows. Take it easy, everybody. Bunk up, Bunkeroos.